This is Kai, Falcon Figures, and Charles again. We are going to be doing our next step in Napoleon's Wars. Now we're going to discuss formations in the game. Okay? There are 4 formations infantry units can assemble into. Okay, so I'm going to show you each one of these. Okay, first of all, this is the column formation. One stand behind another, just like this, is a column formation. Okay, next, there's a skirmish formation, which is like this, with stands within 1 inch of each other. Okay, next, there is a square formation. This is a square formation with units facing in all 4 directions. Okay, and then there's the line of battle formation. This is the line of battle formation. Okay, now we're going to talk about some of the strengths of each of these things. Okay, generally, troops move in the column formation. This is the fastest movement. Okay, troops move 6 inches in column. Making sure your column moves 6 inches. Okay, a square can still move 2 inches in any direction. Okay, we have in line, troops can move 4 inches forward, and in skirmish, troops can move 9 inches. Okay, so we've gone over the formations, the movement value of each of the infantry units. Okay, now one rule that is in this game, most of you who have played board games know the word zone of control. Okay, each unit extends a 1-inch zone of control from the front edge of the unit. And what this is for later on, we'll discuss it when moving into combat and stuff. You can't make formation changes if you're in the zone of control of an enemy unit. Okay? Artillery units only have 2 formations. They're limbered or unlimbered. So in limbered formation, they can move. In unlimbered formation, they cannot move.
And just to mention, limbered means not ready to fire.
Right.
And unlimbered means
usually
ready
if you're
to
playing a game, unfortunately, I don't have any limbers painted right now, but it's usually the gun facing away from the enemy, and basically it's moving in that direction. The limber is a caisson that has shells and stuff in it, and a horse and rider can take it in position, or sometimes it might be in the game or even out. Okay, cavalry can be in line of battle. Okay, so cavalry can be in line of battle. Okay, so they can charge like that. This is a big cavalry unit. I use 6s. Most of the time in a game you can use 4s. I like big units of cavalry because they look scary. So, plus I like the cavalry. I do 6 stands of cavalry. So no matter what, they're a little bit bigger than infantry units when charging. Okay, so cavalry, this is their line of battle. They can also charge. They can also move like this, 2 lines deep. Now, just to go to movement real quick, because I'm going to show you another formation, they also have column of 2s, which you might have heard in many of the old Western, column of 2s. And if they're in this formation, on a road, they get double movement. But they must be in this formation to get that movement. Okay? And like we discussed earlier, you get your 2 actions. You can move and then change formation. So they could be column of 2s, so they would move their, let's see, your cavalry. We didn't say how far cavalry moves, did we? Okay, your cavalry moves 12 inches. So on a road, they would move 24. And then they could change formation into their battle formation if they wanted to.
So if you can move really fast up against somebody and then move into that battle formation and lock somebody who's in like skirmish mode, you would like devastate them, right?
Right, but you can't change formation if you enter that unit's zone of control. So you can't get closer than an inch.
It goes both ways, okay.
It goes both ways. You cannot get in there and then get within 1 inch and change formation. Because any unit of its would shoot you pretty good.
Okay.
So that's what's important about the zone of control. Okay. All right. Just to discuss some positives of the different thing. The column formation. Infantry and cavalry each have the ability to form column, which as we discussed that. This is the column formation. Columns take advantage of roads. Infantry double their movement on roads also. And may change facing, direction the unit faces at no penalty. So if you're on the road, what's nice about this, okay, if you're on the road, number one, you double your movement. So our column movements on our chart right here is 6, so I'd get to move from here, let's say, okay, let's start back here. So I'm in column, I got some of my different formations. My guy's going to move 12 inches, and this is really nice about the rule set. Okay, so we're going to move, where's my foot? Okay, here's the foot, so I'm going to take my main guy, he's going to go 12 inches. So remember, each turn an infantry unit gets to move, change formations, fire. They get to choose 2. So in this instance, I want to help support these guys. So I'm going to move, and then at the end of my move, I'm going to change formation. So I'm going to change formation based on this guy right here. So we're supporting this unit here. So we're right behind these guys. Now I've changed formation. So I got to move double, and I changed formation. And now I'm kind of, I'm back behind these guys if they need some help. Okay, the next one, line of battle, is infantry formation used to deliver the maximum firepower. Okay, so when you're going into combat with another infantry unit, this is the line of battle right here. So if you're in line, you get to move 4, okay, and muskets get to shoot 6 inches. Okay, so we're within 6, but let's say we're going to move just a little bit closer, just in case. All right, let's just say we're moving up. It's our turn. We want to make sure we're going to get close. So now we're in our line of battle, and we're going to shoot at the enemy. This line of battle gives us the maximum firepower, because everybody in the front rank gets to fire. Okay? All right, square formation. Okay? Right here, we're back to here. Units in square formation. This is a good formation because it helps against cavalry. Okay? Infantry units forming into square do so to defend against attacks by enemy cavalry units. While squares can fire and return fire, only the side directly facing an enemy may do so. So, say the cavalry's coming in to attack them here. Okay? So they've got in the defensive formation to protect themselves. Right? But only this one stand can fire. So when you're rolling your fire, you would roll the 1 die and multiply it by the number of figures firing. So you need a pretty good roll to do some damage, but you still get to fire and you're in a defensive formation. Okay? The next one we're going to talk about is skirmish formation. Skirmish formation is when your troops, they have to be within 1 inch of each other like this. Okay? This is a skirmish formation. Okay? During the Napoleonic Wars, a lot of glamour and attention was paid to formations and men in line of battle firing volleys. However, skirmish played a vital role in every engagement. And you've heard of Sharp's rifles, the 95th. They were really good. Their skirmishing was very powerful. Well, the French would send hordes of skirmishers out. In this game, entire battalions can be deployed to skirmishers. So we've got them deployed to skirmishers. Deploying into skirmish line. Lines or columns or their stands may deploy as skirmishers, move, and then fire at the end of a move. If the skirmishers reform as a battalion, they may reform in any formation and facing in any direction. So we're going to go over that. So my guys formed, okay. So my battalion hasn't moved yet. So this guy almost gets 3 actions. It says, I may deploy as skirmishers. Lines or columns or stands may deploy as skirmishers. I may also move, okay, and then fire. It's kind of like a special little rule, but there's less firepower when you fire as a skirmisher.
So I understand going into square. When a cavalry comes up against you, you don't want to be in line because the cavalry can basically go straight down the line. And the effect of going into square is like protecting all of your sides. What is the advantage of going into skirmish mode?
Skirmish, you help protect figures behind you. Okay, I'll read this here.
Do they move faster, fire better?
They move faster, number one, and you can use a skirmishing unit to screen units behind it. Say you have a bunch of columns behind it, and you want to get them closer to the enemy.
Right.
So the enemy can't shoot them all up before they come in. So you have one unit in front. You have your other units behind. Say, well, I'll show an example. Okay. Right here, I have my French guys. The French in Napoleonic Wars like to fight in columns. They did it a lot. Worked against everybody but the British. The British kind of took it to them when they did the columns. Okay, so we have these columns coming up, and they want to attack that British guy. So what they do, then they have this other guy. So this other unit here, he forms in skirmish in front of them. Okay. Okay. And this will protect the units behind them from firing. Now there's some instances when you can form skirmish, and there's reasons for it. Okay. Skirmishers, you can only form skirmishers when moving through dense terrain, which would be a woods. See these British guys? They're in skirmish because they're moving through the woods. Okay. Now these regular skirmish guys, they can move through the woods, but it costs double to move through the woods for every inch. So they've got 6 inches in column, it will cost them 6 inches to move 3, and they can stay in column. But when they move into woods, they can automatically go to skirmish formation. Okay, and in skirmish formation, they move through the woods like normal. Okay, at least I think I've got that right about moving through the woods. We will double check, but I'm pretty sure that's why they move through the woods like normal. So they can form skirmish or over rocky terrain. Okay, we don't have any rocky terrain, but if it was rocky terrain, they can automatically go to skirmish to move over the rocky terrain. Okay, or they can form skirmish to protect a unit behind them. And we'll go into what the consequences of being in skirmish, getting shot at, are when we do the firing steps. Okay, now deploying into skirmishers, and there's also a couple, this is another thing that skirmishers get to do. Okay, skirmishers may move through friendly units without disruption. Okay, and without suffering any penalties to movement, but may not move through other skirmishers. So one skirmish unit can't go through another, but you can move through these guys without disrupting them. Friendly units in any formation may move through one rank of skirmishers. So these guys, if I wanted to, and I move my 6 inches, I can move 6, I can move through these skirmishers. So the reason I'm showing you this is because, say these guys had already shot, right? And these guys protected them from being shot, then on their turn, they might have enough movement to get to these guys. So that's how they were screening them. They were screening them for the big attack when it came. And so you can go through one line of skirmishers with your units. So with those guys already, say they'd already having a shot, so they protected these guys. Now these guys come plowing through them to hit that one unit. Okay, if a skirmish line is routed and has to flee, okay, let's put these guys here. So we have our other skirmish line. Okay, and say he fires his artillery piece at my skirmishers and they're forced to rout. If a skirmish line is routed, has to flee, it may be forced to run into or through other units. If a skirmish line does rout through a friendly unit, it does not disrupt that unit. So these guys rout, they got to go through here. They're not going to disrupt it. Line does rout through a friendly, it does not disrupt that line. So that's pretty neat. Other units would disrupt that line. So they just flow around and basically they're like, oh my gosh, they blew us up, we're running away, you guys got to handle this. And these guys have no problem. Then they would probably rout, get back together here later on when they rally.
Okay, so if they were in line and they were routed, they would disrupt the other unit.
Yes.
Okay, let's pause the video and pick up on another one.